Good evening. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos. We are getting ready to get started. We are super excited for everyone that's joining us this evening. Good evening or good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Randy. Have the pleasure of welcoming you to our webinar today, Balanced and Bold Mental Health Strategies for Latinas at Work. We are thrilled to have you joining us this evening for this important discussion hosted by Prospanica Latina Track Committee. Our goal today is to empower Latinas with practical strategies to navigate the unique challenges they face in the workplace. Let's give it a second. Actually, we're going to have a few more folks joining us. All righty. All right, so thank you again for joining us. Bienvenidos a todos. My name is Randy Gomez. I am the president of the Prospanica New Jersey chapter and also Latina Track committee member. It is a pleasure to welcome you to our webinar, Balanced and Bold Mental Health Strategies for Latinas at Work. We are thrilled to have you joining us today for this important discussion hosted by Prospanica Latina Track Committee. Our goal today is to empower Latinas with practical strategies to navigate the unique challenges they face in the workplace while maintaining their mental health and well-being. In today's fast-paced, demanding work environments, maintaining a balance between professional responsibilities and personal well-being is crucial. This is especially true for Latinas, who often juggle multiple roles, face distinct cultural and social pressures. Our webinar aims to address these challenges by providing valuable insights and tools to help you thrive both personally and professionally. We are honored to have a lineup of distinguished speakers who will share their expertise and experiences. I'm personally very excited. They will provide actionable strategies that you can implement in your daily lives to manage stress, foster resilience, and cultivate a healthy work-life balance. To kick off this session, we are delighted to introduce Lorena Ramos, a renowned mindful expert and psychotherapist. Lorena was dedicated for careers to Lorena Ramos is a renowned mindful expert and psychotherapist. She is dedicated her career to helping individuals develop mindfulness practices that enhance their mental and emotional well-being. Today, she will guide us through a mindful activity designed to ground us in the present moment and prepare us for the valuable insights and discussions ahead. Please join me in welcoming Lorena Ramos.
Thank you, Randy. So today I just want to invite all of you to make some time to just set an intention, and the intention to be present with as a group of Latinas, of strong women, of wanting to take care of ourselves. I want you to just take some minutes to feel comfortable, find a comfortable position. Maybe you're sitting or standing up, but just invite your feet, to feel the ground, feel the weight of your body in those feet of yours. Allow yourself to just stay in the present. Communicate to your body that you're here in the now. And I want you to go ahead and do some deep breathings with me. We're gonna inhale through the nose for 5 seconds. Then we're gonna hold it for 2 seconds. And then we're gonna exhale through the mouth for 5 seconds. So let's go ahead and do that. I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, whatever feels right to you. But let's go ahead and inhale for 5 seconds. Inhale. And then hold it there for 2. And then exhale for 5. Let's do it one more time. Inhale. Hold it there. And then exhale through your mouth. Just stay there with me. I want you to go ahead and think about a female figure in your life that have brought strength, love, curiosity, that has inspired you at some point in your life, I just want you to invite that person into this room with you. And I want you to go ahead and just imagine that she's sitting across from you. She's smiling at you, you're smiling at her. It's just feeling all this energy between the two of you. Just imagine that she's opening her arms and you're sending all this good energy her way. You're sending love, you're sending strength, and she's just receiving all of that with open heart. She's smiling at you, you're smiling at her, and it's just a beautiful moment. She's now doing the same, and she's going to send back love, strength, light to you, and you are receiving that with open arms. It's just a beautiful moment of two women sharing such a special time. Just sit with that image for a little. Just enjoy this moment. Receiving all the love, receiving all the strength, and also sending it back to her. Both of you are just here in the now, enjoying the time together. Nothing else is happening. It's just this moment in the now. I want you to go ahead and again, we're gonna breathe in for 5, we're gonna hold for 2, and then we're gonna exhale for 5. So let's go ahead and inhale. Hold it for 2, and then exhale. One more time, inhale. Hold it for 2, and then exhale. Let's do it one more time, inhale. Hold it, and then exhale. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. I appreciate you sharing this time with me.
Thank you so much, Lorena. That was exactly what we needed to get into the right mindset before we get started with this incredible discussion up ahead. Thank you again. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
As a reminder, I want to encourage everyone to place their questions in the chat box. Please type any comments in the sections, either on our LinkedIn Live, or you can participate right here with us in the webinar. It's a pleasure to hand things over to our guest speaker and moderator, Dulce Candy Ruiz. Dulce is known on Instagram by her name, Dulce Candy. A woman of many hats, a mom, wife, entrepreneur, published author, Latina immigrant, Iraq war veteran. Thank you for your service, Dulce. And now a Chopra meditation teacher. After being a digital trailblazer with 15 years of experience as a leading beauty creator, she now focuses on bringing the practice of mindfulness and meditation to the Latinx community. Her previous work has been recognized for accolades, including gracing the cover of Parent Latina magazine, featured in 17 magazine, receiving the first ever Hispanicis Latino Vader Award for being a digital trailblazer and publishing her own book, The Sweet Life, along with interviewing Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Dulce is on a mission to make the world a better place by spreading the message of peace, love, and mindfulness, striking the need to find balance in our busy and continuously digital connected world. Without further ado, I am happy to hand over things to our moderator, Dulce. Dulce, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here. and super grateful for the conversations that we're going to be having today. I want to start off by introducing our incredible panelists today, starting off with Lorena Ramos, who gave us a beautiful, mindful meditation. It was just absolutely exactly what we needed. She is a bilingual, holistic, trauma-informed psychotherapist in Chicago, Illinois. She founded her private practice, She Is Strong and Mindful, 6 years ago, with the promise to provide a safe and diverse healing space for women looking to improve their mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Lorena is a big advocate for the connection between the body and the mind as a whole, and the importance of listening to our intuition. We also have Tammy Ramos. She is a proud Latina who has dedicated decades to advancing Latinas and empowering them to achieve career and leadership success. As a first-generation Latina, first in her family to graduate from high school, Tammy went on to earn a Juris Doctor from the University of Notre Dame Law School, and a Bachelor's of Science in Economics and Business Administration with a double major in Spanish. She has over 20 years of experience in executive coaching, leadership development, career counseling, workshop facilitation, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Tammy is a world traveler. She has traveled to 17 countries and has lived in Mexico and England. She loves to speak Spanish and train on cross-cultural skills to support organizations in creating diverse and inclusive cultures that result in achieving business objectives such as recruiting, retaining, and promoting diverse talent. And we also have Dr. Maria Hernandez, who is the co-founder of Latina Vida and the president and chief operating officer of Impact for Health, a consulting firm working with the health system across the nation on strategic innovations to advance health equity. In both roles, Maria is a strong champion to workplace where everyone experiences a strong sense of belonging as a key step towards well-being and resilience. So welcome. So we're going to kick it off. I have some incredible questions. I would love to start off the conversation by asking Lorena if she can share some practical self-care practices that have helped maintain your mental health while navigating your career.
Sure. I think the first one that comes to mind is one that I also share with my clients, and it's like basic needs. And I think sometimes we really forget about them. Hydration, movement, sleep, eating. I think many times we just find ourselves like being very busy and forgetting about like those basic needs and nurturing our body. So that conversation really comes when I'm seeing a client or like a new client, or when I check in with my clients. It's like, how's your sleep? Are you hydrating yourself? Are you moving your body? And doesn't need to be exercising. It could be going for a walk. It could be like dancing, anything that can really, connect with your soul in that way. So those are the things that I think really helped me as I started my private practice, to kind of like just checking in with myself and seeing like how I was sleeping, if I was like eating nutritious food, if I was taking some breaks too, right, in between, because many times it's really hard to slow down. So I think like one of the priorities that I put to was to schedule rest days or self-care days. So when I will look at my calendar, I will like intentionally just like mark some days and say, okay, this is gonna be the day that I'm gonna take off. This is gonna be the day that I'm just gonna maybe pamper myself or just gonna go for a walk. I know that many times people try to like on their free days to just like go to the doctor and do so many things, but I think we really need to be intentional into like, when I put that day as my self-care day or my day for me, then to be very intentional into doing that. So that has been very helpful to me, and community has been helpful too, friends, family, and even finding mentors that could really guide me into, answer questions and also guide me into the steps that I wanted to take. So I think those will be the things that really helped me in this path.
Yeah, those are wonderful. I feel like a lot of the times as Latinas, we're always in survival mode so that we forget to, self-care is not really a priority because we always have to be working and achieving. So those basic fundamental needs are life-changing if we can make sure we get them in.
Absolutely.
Doctora Hernandez, Dr. Hernandez, I have a question for you. How can Latinas advocate for better mental health resources and support within the workplace?
That's a great question. I was on mute. Sorry about that. That's a great question. And one of the things that I first and foremost would say, most employers do try to provide some support systems for their employees. If you're in a large environment, the typical, response is if there's someone that's really experiencing a lot of stress, they often recommend that they go to the employee development department, employee resource department, they're by different names, employee assistance programs. And sometimes I think Latinas are very shy about doing that. It feels like perhaps I have to admit something to others that I might not be able to do something. And that's one of the barriers that I think we need to wrestle with right away. So first and foremost, find out what resources you have available within your workplace. And the second is, if you are experiencing a lot of stress just because of the nature of the work or the amount of work or the way, the work is being delegated to people, I would like Latinas not to suffer in silence. I think that often we just accept, well, this must be the way work is. It's not easy. I just need to, grin and bear it and try my best to survive. And I think the workplace today is getting far more aware that well-being is a priority. You cannot feel productive, that you can't feel like you belong, you can't feel like you're giving your best if you're so stressed out that you're really worried constantly about any number of things, whether it's job or home or family. And so I say don't suffer in silence. Bring it up, talk about it, and say, what could we do as a team? What could we do as a department to support the well-being of others? And chime in, give your suggestions. Don't be silent about those kinds of conversations that can happen now in the work environment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tammy, I would love if you can share what impact does discrimination or bias in the workplace have on mental health, and how can Latinas effectively cope with or address these types of issues?
That's a fabulous question, Dulce. Thank you for asking that. It's also a bold question, right? Because it's explicitly saying that discrimination and bias exists, because it does. Although we live in a world and a time where others would challenge that, but I think we know from our own lived experience that it is real. When I started my legal career some time ago, I was the only person of color and only one of two women in my firm. And I experienced a lot of discrimination and a lot of inequities that were not fair. At Latina Vida, we're all about empowering and equipping our Latinas to rise to the top in their careers and to have joy in the process. So although we know these things to be true, discrimination and microaggressions to be true, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? First, we acknowledge that it's real. And if we experience it, like Dr. Maria Hernandez said, we make sure that we don't suffer in silence. We share that with somebody else who we can trust. I love how Lorena started us in a meditation where we're thinking about another woman who loves us, supports us, believes in us, so that we don't feel alone, right? So we connect with that person and we don't absorb that. Statistically, we know that women and people of color have a higher incidence of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, because of the additional stress that we face in the workplace, right? So we come to work and we have to work twice as hard and we have to deal with some of those inequities. But what do we do about it? The reason why we're having this conversation is we want people to leave with real tools and strategies on how to take care of yourself. So we don't assume that the bad things that happen to us, that's outside of our control. What we do is we take back our power and we say, what is within my control? What's within my control is I take care of myself. And just as a strategy, here's one thing I do every single morning without fail. It's on my calendar. Everybody can see it. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. I exercise, whether that's yoga, walking, treadmill, spin bike, kickboxing, whatever that is, because I have to take care of myself so that I can deal with the things that are going to happen during the day and so that I can show up and show up well for those that I serve. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you for letting me answer such a great question.
Yes, thank you so much. Self-care, prioritizing ourselves is really just going to empower us tremendously, and we're going to be able to better deal with any adversity in the world in general. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to open up this question to all the ladies here, all the panelists. What are some signs that a Latina professional might be struggling with her mental health? And what steps can she take to seek help?
I'll kick it off and say, I think the first sign that I would look for is just the person's demeanor, the person's overall response to life. You know, if they're constantly feeling that everything is bad, that there's nothing to smile about, there's nothing to feel hopeful about, that would raise my concerns. Because yes, every one of us is going through any number of things any day of the week. We all struggle in some way or another. That's why it's important to give grace to others. But if it's a constant sense of sorrow or doom or anxiety or fear, and it doesn't change over time, that's someone that I would reach out to and hold and ask, how can I help? What's going on for you? What's in your world that's creating some of this, anxiety? And just listen first, because that's sometimes the most important step to take, is to be able to share your grief, your sorrow, your anxiety, your fears, anything with others. That sense of community is so powerful for us. And we sometimes just hesitate to share when we're feeling those negative things. And we need to be able to share both the joy and the heartbreak sometime in life.
I will add to what Maria said, and I think if somebody right now is feeling like that kind of like pursuit to be perfect, right? Like sometimes we are just trying to achieve so much, or we are trying to overextend ourselves at work or with family. So many times when I talk to clients or even with friends, it's like, how are they feeling, right? And sometimes they may even say, I'm not feeling myself these days, or I'm just feeling that something is off. So I always say, like, kind of that piece of your intuition, right? Like, we know ourselves really well, and there's going to be days that we're going to be like, wow, today was rough. And if we keep extending ourselves and we keep like pushing into not listening to our body or how our mind feels, then it's just going to be a time like Maria said, and maybe we're just going to feel the anxiety. And many times we don't even recognize anxiety in our body, and we need someone to call it out for us and say, hey, are you okay? Or I'm noticing that. So really kind of like connecting with that human piece of us, right? Like saying, okay, when do I need to slow down? When am I feeling really tired? Communicating with other people, either my partner or friends or anyone around me, like, you know, maybe I need a little bit of a break. So I think it's really going into the basic piece, into, you know, what is it that I need? Do I feel myself, or is there anything that it's changing? Maybe my mood, maybe, you know, I'm getting more frustrated lately. So those kind of like signs can really help you to say, okay, maybe I maybe need to talk to someone, or maybe I need to go out with my friends and you know, just have a good time. So it's really, you know yourself well, just checking with yourself off.
Mm. Wonderful. Thank you.
What I would add to that is two things, two words: compartmentalize. The second word is the inner voice. So the compartmentalize, so I can share a lot of things that have happened in my life. For example, I've been divorced, I've walked that out, and life happens to us. So being able to compartmentalize and say, I need to grieve, I need to cry, I need to shout, I need to do whatever I need to do over here. Right now, I need to be fully present for you, for the work that I'm doing, right? To be a good steward of the work that has been entrusted to me. And then I will deal with that over here. So number one, compartmentalize. Number two, the inner voice. So we hear lots of voices all day. The loudest one is our own. What am I saying to myself about myself? And my challenge to all of those who are listening is to take a day and say, I'm going to journal what I'm saying to myself. Am I saying to myself, oh, you screwed that up, or that was a huge failure, or what a disappointment, you could have done better, you should have done better? What is that voice? And if it's a negative voice that's condemning you all day long, yes, at the end of the day, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be depleted. You're going to be exhausted. So rewrite that script. Catch yourself. I say, take every thought captive. Take that word, that phrase, and say, you know what? I'm a human being, and all human beings make mistakes. I'm not perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. I'm going to take this as a learning opportunity so that next time I'm going to do it this way. So those two things. Manage that inner voice, compartmentalize.
Yes, yes, thank you. Now, what role can organizations play in supporting the mental health of their Latina employees, and what specific initiatives have you found to be very effective?
So some organizations are now actually having conversations about well-being. Tammy and I both have worked as part of Latina Vida's program for developing first-generation professionals. We've worked with an organization back east that actually has said out loud, it is important for your manager to speak about well-being. And they refer to it as Flex First. It's a little bit of a reference to some of their work from home employees and how they need special attention and care sometimes because working from home can be quite isolating. And I think that it's an example of others that are also saying, can we have these kinds of conversations as part of our teamwork, as part of team environments and team planning? And I would encourage anyone on the call, again, if you sense that this is something that's important to do for your team's well-being, you're probably not alone. Others are thinking the exact same thing. So I would say organizations have begun to look at how to include well-being in their belonging and DEI initiatives, because it all comes together. It's very much a part of any initiative that cares about the employees' productivity, their retention, their advancement. They're all connected. And I think it's wonderful that organizations are taking that kind of time and effort. We also need to ask for that. I think if you don't see it in your organization, be bold, be courageous, and say, hey, it's time for us to include that in the topics that we cover in our team environments. So there are good programs out there. Yeah.
Anybody else? All right. How important?
I would add, Simon Sinek, there's a quote, a famous quote of his that says, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those who are in your charge. And so if organizations really do care about the mental health and well-being of their employees, which they should, right? Because a healthier you makes a healthier employee, which adds greater value to the organization itself. They should lead by example, right? So it makes it safe for your Latinas and your employees in general if you can normalize mental health issues, right? If you can say, I too struggle, I too sometimes feel anxious or stressed out or depressed. I sometimes have difficulties with relationships or issues at home or health issues, whatever that may be. If you as a leader inside of an organization can be vocal and humble and transparent, it makes it safe for everybody else to not feel alone in that they're the only ones who struggle with, say, anxiety and depression, right? Oh, this leader has been very vocal about that. And they talk about self-care and, using employee assistance programs and, going to group therapy or getting individual counseling, etc. If you can normalize it as a leader, you're going to make it safer for everybody else to talk about these things.
Yeah, I really love that because I feel like oftentimes mental health is seen as a sign of weakness, and we need to change the conversation around that, the belief around that, because it's really not. And it just keeps a lot of people from speaking up and dealing with too many things that they really, maybe can't handle. So I think that's really important. I also wanted to talk about the work-life balance of maintaining mental health. I love this topic, and I would love to hear what strategies Latinas can take on to achieve the balance of, a healthy work-life balance.
I think for me, it really comes in honoring the time where you are in life right now, because many times, let's say that you're a mom and then you're kind of like thinking about the time when you weren't a mom and you just want to do the same things and you just like push yourself to do it. And so it's kind of like that inner conversation that Tammy mentioned, right? Like, how do we talk to ourselves and really coming to the realization, okay, if I'm in this season in my life and there's some changes and I'm trying to like do my best to cope with them, then to really realize, okay, what are the things that I'm really doing right now that are making a difference, right? And for me, instead of like the work-life balance, I like more like kind of like work-life flexibility or like work-life harmony, because it's more like every year, every month could be different. And I think it's just kind of like being open into, okay, checking in with yourself, seeing where you are right now, being gentle. And I think that's one piece that we all have a hard time with. Like, how can we be more gentle to ourselves and really try to enjoy where we are in the now, right? So many times I always say, try to be creative with scheduling your time off. Try to think about things that maybe you used to like when you were a mom or when you were less busy with work, and then reconnect with things that maybe really brought joy to your life. Make some like a small time to just reconnect to it and see how you feel inside, because I think it's a nice way to just like check in. But I will say that I think it's really enjoying every season of the life that we have. Like, where are we in life right now?
Yeah, Dulce, sometimes in our sessions with early career professionals, we'll say, you can't do it all at the same time. So it's important to recognize those stages of life that Lorena has brought up. I think, when I think about raising my son, who's now 29, when he was very young, I declined a lot of work that would require travel because I just didn't feel comfortable leaving him alone so much. I did a little bit, but it wasn't the easiest thing to do. And as he got older, it was easier to navigate some of those decisions, right? So one is understanding the stages of life that you're in, and the balance in that time frame is very different. I sometimes call it blend because these days with work from home, you need to be very thoughtful that you're not constantly working, since there's no boundary now between that desk in your home and the work that you're doing, right? So one of the things that we often share in Latina Vidas programs is just, how much are you putting on your to-do list, right? If you can, think about 3 boxes of work, right? There's you, there's the project that you're in, and then maybe there's family or something in your community, right? Those 3 boxes are constantly there. And how much are you assigning each day to those 3 areas? If you're taking on, 17 things, you're going to feel really stressed. You're going to feel really tired. You're going to feel it's impossible to get it done. And so that work-life blend is, maybe I am going to work really early in the morning so I can go to my kid's soccer game in the afternoon, but I'm going to go and I'm going to go enjoy it. I'm not going to be trying to think about work while I'm doing that. And maybe afterwards I get home, I might put in an hour to just say, okay, I'm going to catch up on my email. It's being able to adjust and show that kind of flexibility that I do think leads to work-life balance or work-life blend. It's different though for every person. And that's really important to respect as you navigate your own life and, support others that you're working with as well.
And what I would add to that is 2 things: healthy boundaries. Number 2, learn to say no without guilt. So number 1, healthy boundaries, which leads into the learn to say no. It's okay to say, thank you so much. I would love to, but I have other priorities right now that will not allow me to do that right now. Keep me in mind for the next time. So the no may not be no forever. It means no, not yet. No, not right now. I really do appreciate it. And when I say without guilt, that goes back to healthy boundaries, right? I've set these boundaries in place because this is a high priority to me. And if I say yes to that, then I violated my own boundaries, my own values, and my own priorities. And then I'm really not going to feel good on the inside that I've done that. And then I end up resenting the yes that I said over here, and perhaps taking it out on the person that I said yes to, which is not fair to that person or that relationship. Healthy boundaries, learn to say no.
Wow, I hope everybody is taking notes, because these are gems. These are dropping gems right here. Thank you so much. I have a few more questions before we wrap it up. How can Latina leaders and mentors support mental health of the younger generation of Latina professionals entering the workforce?
Well, first and foremost, we all need to reach back and support others that are coming behind us. I think that we have to look around and ask the question, who am I helping? Who am I supporting? Who am I mentoring? And when we do, to not hold back and ask, how are you doing? And not accept like, oh, I'm fine, but say, no, how are you really doing? Because we all have a tendency to want to say, oh, I'm okay, I'm doing great, everything's fine. And we may need to do that sometimes to protect our boundaries, as Tammy just said. But when you're with someone that you're mentoring and trying to help grow their career, I think we have to open that door up often and just ask, are you taking care of yourself? Do you have a really good strategy for your work-life blend or your work-life balance? Do you feel supported? Do you feel like you are safe at work? Do you feel safe at home? Those are hard questions, but it takes that kind of conversation to include mental health in the others that we want to support and help them grow.
And what I would add to that, shameless plug for Latina Vida, because it's exactly what we're doing. Maria founded Latina Vida 10 years ago with the mission to inspire the next generation of Latina executives to rise to the top in their careers. And smart organizations like Bath and Body Works, Walmart, Cisco, there's a number of different organizations we've worked with throughout the years. And if you're an organization thinking to yourself, how do I support the Latinas and Latinos inside of my organization so that I can not only retain them, but promote them into leadership roles? I always say we have the secret sauce. And that's really equipping them with the information, the tools, the coaching that they need to be successful in their careers, especially as a first generation Latina who has a professional career. Maybe you don't have family to turn to get advice on, how do I find a mentor? How do I find a sponsor? How do I show up with executive presence or create my own personal brand or use productivity tools to keep myself organized, etc. There's a lot of first generation Latinas who do not have that education from home. And so that's what we do. That's what Latina Vida does. And organizations bring us in to do that with their high potential, diverse students.
I think to add to that is just like leading by example, right? Like there's younger Latinas looking at you, seeing what you're doing. And if I'm like saying, okay, I take time to take care of myself, I go to therapy, I make time to, check in with my friends, I make time to go for a walk, even though, life can get busy, I always prioritize that because it's good for me, then I'm really normalizing things that at times like it could create a lot of like shame or guilt if someone does it. So I think like people are always observing, and I think it's like if I preach something, then I need to do it because people are just like really hoping to see more examples to follow. So I always say like whatever we want to advocate for, like we need to be the ones giving the example first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the last question that I have for all of you are if you can share any personal stories or experiences that highlight the importance of mental health awareness and support for Latinas in the workplace.
Well, one of the things that I've joined this year is a wonderful book club, and we're reading books about meditation and Buddhism and trauma and how to overcome those things. And I'll share a wonderful little acronym I learned just yesterday in my book club. It's RAIN. It's recognize the feeling, acknowledge it, investigate where is it coming from, and then non-attachment. We don't have to attach ourselves to every feeling, every emotion. We can take a look at it and assess whether or not that's something that we need to address immediately, right away, but not to let ourselves be dominated by an emotion. And it was a wonderful little tool in a book that's called Is Buddhism True? And it was in my book club. And you can find book clubs that are themed around a number of things, relationships and meditation and so on and so on. And that's one small thing to help navigate life, right?
Oh, your mic is muted.
I was like, I love that, Maria. Another thing I've been thinking about. So on June 6th, I'm doing this Empowered Women event, TED Talk, and I've been working on it. And the theme of it is authenticity and belonging, and how those things sometimes cannot coexist, but they should. And what's our ownership, right? Whether or not it's a culture where we feel like we belong, what is our responsibility? So for many years, I focused on assimilating, right? I want to look like, sound like, dress like, talk like, fit into your culture so that you will accept me. You will let me be a part of who you are and what it is that you do. But all the time feeling like a fraud, feeling like an imposter, feeling like, well, if you really knew who I was, you probably wouldn't want me. which then causes me to not feel like I belong. But I have participated in that to some extent, right? So I share all of this to say your Latinidad is your superpower. It is your superpower. So lead with it, walk in with it, stand up straight with it. Be proud that you bring that to your organization, to your teams, to your role, to all that you do, because your lived experiences as a Latina in this country, in this world, is unique and special. You know, especially when you're the only one of you, the first, etc. Yeah, they need you. So show up with your superpower. Be proud of it. Don't hide it. Don't dilute it and make it something, you know, other than what it truly is, which is beautiful.
Wow, thank you. Lorena, would you like to add something to that?
I just love like what Tammy said. I think it's really connecting with your essence, right? Like connecting with your values too. I think like an exercise that I do with my clients often is think about like the main 3 values that you have in life. And sometimes it takes some time to really say, okay, what are my core values? But if you really take the time to just digging into that and then think about them and the definition of them, I think it really helps whenever you show, you know, you're just in a room full of people or you're at work. And if you live with your values, I think you're more connected with your essence, with who you are. So I think that's always something that I also keep in mind, right? Like maybe I don't connect with other people sometimes, but maybe it's because our values don't connect in the same way. But it's like maybe even looking for a workplace that connects with my values, right? Like the mission and my values. And so really following that path into, you know, getting to know yourself more. I think that's one gift that we have as women. It's like just getting to know ourselves every day and being very curious about it. So like I think our essence is very powerful in that way.
Yes, thank you. I think we're going to move on to the Q&A portion of this webinar.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So thank you for everybody for this really great conversation with such a wonderful range of strategies and stories, really highlighting the importance of mental health for Latinas in the workplace. Since we did transition the viewing, I've just kept an eye on the LinkedIn, and I don't see any questions right now in the chat. So I'll just give it one more look. But while I'm doing that, I don't know if there's anything else that folks would like to add to the discussion before, in case there are any questions that come in. So, so I think before we wrap up the seminar, I did want to thank everybody for for joining the session today. Balanced and bold mental health strategies for Latinas at work. Before we move on to sort of closing this out, was there anything else, Dulce, or anybody else that you wanted to add?
No.
So excellent. Well, I do really want to give a very big thank you to the Prospanica National and to our CEO, Thomas Savino, for their unwavering leadership and support in making events like this possible. Their commitment to empowering Latinas and empowering diversity and inclusion in the workplace is truly inspiring. I'm also really excited for everybody who was able to join today and just really roll with everything as we were doing this. I think it's a testament to really being adaptable and figuring out how to make it all work. So thank you to everybody for that. We're really excited to announce that our next seminar is going to be June 19th. We will be sharing more information on that on LinkedIn as well as our social channels. Additionally, mark your calendars for our national conference, which is going to be taking place October 29th to October 31st in Orlando, Florida. It promises to be a remarkable event filled with opportunities for learning, networking, and professional growth. If you've never been to one of our events, they're really a lot of fun. So thank you all once again for your time and participation today. We look forward to seeing you at our upcoming events. And until then, stay balanced and bold.
Thank you.
Thank you.